Hi, I'm Monica Wihangi, and I am going to be teaching you some really fun watercolor pencil techniques today. Now, if you don't follow us, make sure you subscribe and put on that bell notification because we have so many great technique videos to share with you. In fact, we've already done a beautiful watercolor technique series that we're going to link in our notes below. But for today, I'm going to be teaching you 5 specific techniques on how to use our watercolor pencils. Let's look at our 5 projects. Here are the different techniques I'm going to be showing you. Of course, these are the finished projects. They are just stunning, wouldn't you say? We're using our love story stamp set throughout these cards. Again, we'll be putting that information in the notes so you can find how to purchase it. But look at these beautiful detailed cards. They just come together so fast, and all I did was use watercolor pencils. So let's go over to our close-up and I'll show you how to do our very first card. Here is that first card right here, and you can see we're going to be using watercolor pencils throughout these beautiful flowers and leaves. So I've already pre-cut them so that we can get right to watercoloring. So here we have our pencil. Now this technique is so simple because we are just going to be outlining on the dark parts of this stamp image. And all I'm doing is literally just outlining and tracing. I feel like I'm in kindergarten again. I loved doing that when I was a kid. And just outline, outline, outline. That's all you've got to do. So hopefully you can see that's popping up off that image. So pretty. Now, depending on how dark and how much shading you want, you can definitely go in. So just use it like a normal colored pencil, even though it does have that watercolor magic. So I'm just going in, going in, going in. You can see right there, lots of shading, just coming into all of those dark pieces. And then if I want to pull in some of that color into my project, I'm going to bring in a water brush just to pull in a little bit of the color. But I like the white parts as well. So it's really that simple, you guys. You don't have to be a watercolor expert. Now we have a beautiful line of watercolors. They're the Milan brand. Let me just show you really quick right here. These are all the pencils that we carry. There's 24. And I am using this color right here. It is called Tropical Yellow. Ooh, I want to be somewhere tropical right now. So you can see, look at how simple it is just to outline. And you don't have to be perfect because we're going to use the water brush to kind of smooth it in and blend it in as well. It really is that easy. All right, now I've got a watercolor brush. You can see this one's already been used, but I make sure it was clean. I used my chamois to clean it off and make sure that it's clear. And now just lightly come in and make sure that it's a little bit wet, and you will start to blend those lines. And that's why it doesn't matter if it's perfect. I'm just putting a little tiny wash inside of my image. Look at how pretty. Do you see that coming alive? It's so stunning, isn't it? I'm gonna bring it up just a little so you can see up close. Look at the difference between these parts that have already had water and these parts right here. Now I'm going to bring in our little leaf sprig here. Now this one I'm going to be using several colors. So I've got these different greens. We've got turtle green for the leaf vein. So let's go ahead and find the turtle green. And again, it's the same technique. I'm just outlining like just a colored pencil and making that darker color my veins for my leaves. And it just blends so beautifully together. So we've got that right there. And I could even do a little bit of the outer leaf just to give it a little more definition. And now I'm going to use this green, this is called grass green, to just shade all over. So I'm coloring on top of the vein and those dark colors that I already did. And again, I don't need to do it perfectly, just lightly color. And then again, I'm going to bring in my water brush. Let's make sure it's clean. And just lightly blend with water. So I've got these two pieces here that are done. We're going to do one more flower for this one here. And this time I'm going to be using this beautiful turquoise color. And it's the same technique, just a little bit in the center, going out, coloring in those dark parts of my stamp image. And I'm not even going to do that much, okay? Just enough right in the center. And now I'm going to use my watercolor brush again, clean it off, make sure it's clean, and then pull in that blend color. So pretty. It's that simple. You do. Here is project 2. You can see that the colors on this flower are much softer and have a more beautiful watercolor wash to them. So let me show you how to do technique number 2. I've got right here my sample flower that I've already pre-cut. I'm going to do my yellow, tropical yellow watercolor pencil, a clean water brush, and I'm going to add water to the tip of my brush. Now you do want to be careful, you don't want to flick it because it will splatter. So I'm just lightly and gently adding some water to that tip, and the yellow is being picked up by my water brush. Now I'm going to bring in and drag that color throughout those shaded parts, and that's what's giving me that watercolor technique. Isn't that so fun? So let's go ahead and do this whole flower. All right, I've done all of my yellow. Now, do you see some of those orange beautiful washes inside of the flower? I'm going to do the exact same technique, but this time I'm going to be using our beautiful orange color here. It's called mandarin, and do the same technique. Now you want to make sure your water brush is clean. And we are finished with that flower. Now let's go ahead and do our leaves next so you can see how it works just beautifully with really any color that you use. So we're going to use our green again. This one is our grass green, and make sure your water brush is clean, and you're going to do the same exact thing. All right, those are your two examples. Now you can always add more color as much as you want to make it as vibrant as you want or as soft as you want. It's really that simple. Here is technique number 3. We're going to be blending directly on our image, and don't be afraid to use totally opposite different types of colors so you can see how beautifully they blend together with the watercolor pencil. This time I'm going to take my image and I'm going to use our turquoise pencil, and I'm going to color it directly on. Now I'm not going to go as harsh or as dark as I've done on technique number 1. This is a much softer look, but it's blending right directly on your project. So, all right, so I've got all my turquoise in, and now I'm going to pull in my tropical yellow and do the same thing. Now this time I am going to do a little harsher line so that I get a little more of that dramatic color difference. Do you see that? But then we're going to bring in our water brush and we're going to blend it all together. I can add more color as well if I want to make that a little more bold. There you have that sample. Now let's do the same thing with our leaf. We're going to pull in a leaf. We're going to bring in our darker green color, and we're just going to shade in. We're not going to outline. We're shading, 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 coloring in. And again, as dark as you want, the more shading you do, but I'm not outlining, I'm just shading in. Now I want to kind of have some color variance, so I'm going to bring in my lighter green and then fill that in down below. Now with my watercolor brush, I'm going to go ahead, let's make sure that's clean, and blend that out. Now I have no more harsh lines. It's all just blending together. There's my beautiful leaf. All right, that is technique number 3. Here is technique number 4, and this is creating a wash behind your stamped image. So let's go ahead and bring in our stamped image right here. And this one, you are going to need a scratch piece of paper. I have some cardstock right here, and I'm going to be coloring in the tropical yellow, and I'm going to basically make like a little spot to pull up color. So I'm going to make my own little watercolor palette right here on this piece of cardstock. So be generous with it because you do want to pick up that color. And I'm just coloring it in, color, color, color. And now I'm going to take my clean water brush and pick up that color. So let's go ahead and add some water. And this is going to be my wash. Put it behind our phrase. Let me just show you. I'm just picking up more color. If you need more color, just add more water and pick up more color. Look at how pretty that is coming together. There is my subtle wash. Now, the more color you add, the darker your wash will be. That is technique number 4. Our 5th and final technique is a really fun way to create a background wash using your acrylic block. Here's my acrylic block. I'm going to need a scratch piece of paper. So again, I'm just bringing in some cardstock. You've got some of that. And I'm bringing in my turquoise color, and you're going to, again, be really generous with the color that you're putting down and how big do you want that swatch to be behind your words. So I'm making mine pretty big, and you just want to make sure you're using like the tip of that to pick up the darker, more vibrant color. Let's just keep going, because we want to make sure we get the whole better together sentiment with this fun swatch. All right, now I'm going to bring in my water brush, and I'm going to add water to this coloring right here. And you do want it to be pretty wet because you're going to pick this up by stamping your acrylic block right on to this wet, beautiful color. Let's go ahead and bring in, it's done. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring in our sentiment, and we are going to add that right on to our sentiment. Look at how cute that is. There you go. It's that simple. Here are all those beautiful, fun projects again. You can see how gorgeous those watercolor techniques really add and elevate your beautiful card sentiments. I'm so happy with the results. I hope you learned something new. Now, that was so much fun to do with you. Now, make sure you tune in next week where we'll be teaching you some more fun techniques.